we have one.
Okay, I think you have to send like your primary display. Very good.
Is it working better?
Yeah, it's working better.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Hey, is this on? We ready?
Yeah. Right.
All right, good morning. I think we're going to go ahead and get started this morning. So if you want to filter in. All right, so while we're grabbing seats, I'd like to thank you for coming to today's 1 Million Cups. For those of you that it's your first time, 1 Million Cups is a community of entrepreneurs helping and supporting other entrepreneurs. Today, we meet here every week, Wednesday, so make sure at 9 o'clock every week. And the team here is Alex over there, Ben, Randy, Matthew. The format will be 6 minutes for 2 presenters, and then 20-minute followed by a 20-minute Q&A for each person. The first company that we're going to present this morning will be Natalie Cagle with a company called Ramblen. It's a health and fitness website for health and fitness professionals on the go. So everyone, say hello to Natalie Cagle.
Hi. Thank you, 1 Million Cups, for inviting us back. Today is our second time to speak about Ramblen, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about where we've been and what's worked and what hasn't. So hope you guys find it interesting. This is us, and hopefully there's a few more letters in the alphabet because we might need it. So for those of you that don't know, Ramblen is like TripAdvisor for fitness. It lets people find where to work out and eat healthy when they travel. The problem we solve is that people put time, energy, and money into training and a healthy lifestyle. And if they travel, that can disrupt that. So perhaps they're training for a marathon, and their boss tells them, you got to go work for 2 weeks. Where do you go? Is there a pool that you can drop in, or is there a fee? That kind of stuff. Mostly millennials use Ramblen, and it helps you stay fit while you travel. So these are screenshots. It's responsibly designed. You can filter by type of activity, place you want to eat, city. Let's see, got a little bit of a delay. All right, so our first plan was to try food spotting for fitness. So food spotting is where you take a picture. It's a mobile application, and we thought we'd monetize that way by either charging or having a subscription-based model. And food spotting, you can take a picture and you write a review, and then if you were in, say, Boston, you could say, where's somewhere to eat, and you could look at different people's pictures, review it. That's what we're thinking for Ramblen. So except for you would take a picture maybe of a yoga class, or this was a great instructor, or I went to this hike and it was great, and people would take pictures and upload it that way. So we scoped it out, and that turned out to be around $300,000. We scoped it with dev agencies in Boulder and in Denver, And we did that because I have ties to developers there, and that's why we did that. But they're good dev shops. So high class and very competent, but very expensive. So we decided that we weren't raising capital at that point, so we decided to go to plan B. Okay, so while we were doing this, we were still scaling and getting content, but we realized we needed to scale faster, so we launched a brand ambassador program. So brand ambassadors are unpaid, but they're people that give us local buy-in and local expertise. So we got people all over, Washington, D.C., South Carolina, everywhere. And this was really popular because people wanted to give their opinion. And now we were scaling at a much faster rate because they were writing reviews. At this point, we're like, okay, well, maybe we should do advertising. So advertising, my background's in marketing, and it's come a long way. So content marketing, content is advertising. So we were going to do some content marketing, maybe for fitness retailers, that kind of stuff. But the problem with fitness retailers is that they don't have a marketing budget. Same thing with restaurants. They don't always have a marketing budget unless they're a pretty well-established restaurant, like Andolini's. So we decided we weren't there yet. Okay, so the next plan was Airbnb for fitness. This was going to disrupt the tour guide and tour operator space. So say you went to Winter Park and you wanted to go on Winter Park, Colorado, and you wanted to go on a bike ride. You could look through people's profiles, kind of find who's offering maybe a local that is a mountain biker and they'd offer bike rides, and you could schedule something, what do they offer, running tours, that kind of stuff, so people would make a profile. It was a sharing marketplace, similar to Airbnb, Uber, all those things. We got the attention of Run-Up Labs, which is an accelerator that deals with specifically travel startups, and they were very interested in this concept. They wanted a little bit more equity than we wanted to give away, and when we MVP'd it with another dev shop, because we didn't have our own developer, it was going to be about $70,000 just to MVP, and it also comes with a bunch of legal hassles. So to be able to do any of these sharing marketplaces, you have a significant legal buy-in and investment. So at that point, we went a different route. Okay, so corporate wellness, people started telling us, I use this a lot for work because I travel a lot, and you should talk to my HR person, that kind of stuff. And so we looked into the corporate wellness route, and we were going to basically gamify. This one, we actually got 2 really big customers, and they were willing to do it. And we looked into developing. We were going to have to pay the development costs up front, and we realized after getting into more talks with these employers or corporations that it was going to take at least a year before we were going to ever see a penny of that contract. And essentially the sales cycle was too long to keep us going. So we abandoned that. Is that my 1 minute or 30 second? 1 minute, okay. My co-founder was from South Carolina. She was getting married, and at this point, we had limited funding, so she left. But she's still involved and supported. We went through the ITE venture assessment program. We pivoted into the hotel market, and I'm kind of going to speed through this now. The hotel market, we got a new pitch. We're going to talk to boutique and lifestyle hotels. They have a little bit more leeway when making decisions. We got a lot of interest from the hotels and boutique hotels. I talked to Omni, I talked to Hyatt at the highest levels. Essentially, the sales cycle was too long. Right now, we're doing Ramblen workouts, and it's where basically someone can get emailed a workout using our reviews the day of. I got my personal training certification in all of this, and leading boot camps. So I tried it out in Tulsa. I didn't have enough lead-up time, but it was the most shared of anything we've ever done, and was pretty popular, and we got New Yorkers actually requested to do it in their place. We've had a ton of community support. That really works. Our brand ambassador program really works. We get a lot of press without having to actually look for it. So Women's Running is owned by Runner's World magazine. That was a big one for us. And right now, I'm focusing on influencer marketing, so things rise to the top. And this whole brand ambassador program has done really well, and I get a lot of requests from other individuals to know how we did it. Can we help them with it? So currently, that gives us some revenue when we work with other brands. Strategic partnerships and continue building content are also in the works and what we're doing. I think that's it.
We'll open up to questions now. If you have a question, grab Randy or my attention and we'll come find you. We are recording this and we're also live streaming it. So if you have a question, use the mic, please. And if you have a follow-up question, wait to get the mic.
Thank you so much for presenting. It sounds like you've been on a kind of a long journey. So all of this searching and pivoting and all that, how long of a process has this been? I mean, what's the time frame that since you started to now?
Really, it's been the very end of 2013, so like late November, basically December 2013 till now.
It seems like you've went through several steps of things that didn't work. I really like the idea of the Airbnb. What was it that didn't work with that, and what are you going to do moving forward?
For the Airbnb, we weren't raising capital yet, and we weren't able to prove enough. We'd have to have an MVP, and at that point, we just simply were like, we can't really afford $70,000 plus for the MVP, and we needed that to show. Even the accelerator wanted. They were offering to pay a little bit of that dev cost up front, but they were going to take a big chunk in exchange. I do think it's a good idea, and I'm sure someone will do it. There is a company out there called Spinlister that does that, but just for bikes. So you can put your bike and have a user profile and go to, say, Santa Monica, California, and look for a bike to rent.
You have a question right here?
Okay, it seems that you have like a beta test app out. I want to know what exactly can you do on this app, because I didn't get that from your presentation, and what operating systems is your app running on, like Apple or Windows or Android?
So it's not an app. It's actually just a website that's responsively designed. So any smartphone can display it, but it's not a dedicated mobile application. What it does is it's similar to TripAdvisor, where you can filter by city. You can say, I'm going to Boston and I want to know what are the things to do, what are the top attractions, or where do I stay, or where do I eat, and it filters that way. But instead of doing everything under the sun, we're focusing specifically on fitness and healthy eating. So it might pull up a Whole Foods for you in Boston if you're interested in where to eat, and some healthy restaurants. And we only do positive reviews, so we don't have a whole bunch of junk that you have to go through. These are positive reviews only and very informational. So a lot of pictures, but like where to park and things that you didn't know. For instance, when I just visited Austin, I went swimming at Barton Springs because I'm a swimmer, but there was a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know. I didn't know that I would have, like, you needed to buy a locker. I didn't know that I had to have my own towel, that kind of stuff. So we're trying to give information like that that would be beneficial for the traveler.
Okay, I got a question right here.
Yes, you talked about that you got your personal training license recently. So I could use your app and hook up with other personal trainers in the local area, or if I'm going to Boston, Atlanta, so I could use your app to find other personal trainers?
No, but I know apps like that if you were interested. I just got my personal training certification so I could MVP stuff. So I could basically say, okay, try this training plan. If you're going to be going to, I keep using Boston. It's one of our most searched cities. But if you're going to Boston and you want to use like a training plan, you can write in and I'll give you a training plan.
Well, what if I wanted to find an individual trainer, fitness trainer? Is that possible now or in the future?
It's not currently, but it's not a bad idea. That's a good idea of something we could add.
Question back here.
Do you sell anything?
Currently, we do not sell anything.
What do you want to sell?
That's a good question, isn't it? I think that eventually, my gut feeling all along has been that content itself is very important. Curated content in particular is valuable. And I think, for instance, the hotels are very interested because they don't own and create their own curated content. And health-conscious travelers are 40% of the hotel demographic, and health-conscious travelers spend 130% more than regular travelers. So they were all about trying to do something with us, but they're very slow-moving. So I still feel like our content is valuable, and that we'll be able to figure out how to monetize off of that.
Okay, question over here.
There you go. You spoke about people being able to write into you, and then you would give them some kind of workout plan. Personal training is extremely expensive on a one-on-one basis. Have you ever thought about doing something with maybe remote personal training, where I say, here are my goals, and you say, well, here's a workout plan for you, and you give maybe like inspirational videos or one-on-one follow-up talks, or anywhere across the nation I could email you, and you do a one-on-one remote personal training?
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's something that I'm currently, we're exploring that, and I've actually spoken to a couple other personal trainers. One of them's a brand ambassador in Philadelphia, and we've talked about that. And there is a company called Wello that just got bought by Weight Watchers, and they do something sort of similar, but they don't focus on travelers, so we could maybe focus on travelers.
Question over here.
When you first started and you had the idea going into it, did you have like the knowledge or the training on how to actually build this idea out?
Yeah, the idea was we had funding for one person on staff, and we were also going to build the website development, and then we were going to do that plan A, which was food spotting, which was the mobile application. And we wanted to evolve that into a subscription model. And it just became too cost intensive, basically, that we had to pivot. We either had to decide, do we want to invest more, get more capital and do that, or do we want to figure out with what we already have?
So when you say we were going to build it out, did you have to find somebody that knew how to build out the website and do all the tech side, or did you?
Yes, I mean, we had a developer. The website is actually pretty darn complicated because of all the searching features. So the development costs there were somewhat high, but the mobile application, we didn't have a developer on staff, and we weren't looking for someone to do sweat equity, because I just didn't want to do that. And so we wanted to hire either a developer, and found that the development shops would be a good platform for us so we could learn. Pivotal Labs in particular is really cool because you go there to Boulder, and for 3 months you're sitting side by side with that developer. So anytime they come, you're doing your work, but then they come across a problem, they're like, hey, what about this, this, and this? So it is a collaborative process. And they're very tight, they're very detailed, they're very streamlined, very methodical. They're known for that, but they're very expensive. So I think we needed to get some more user traction. So we wanted to we've always wanted to build up more user traction and traffic before we went down the raising capital road and proving out a business model, which we haven't.
Okay, I have a question right here.
So I think what I see in most internet startups is that to get to the traction point where you have enough community to have a viable product is that you have to have that community, and it's the chicken and the egg problem where you have a product but no community. Right. Since fitness people kind of run in packs to a certain degree, have you looked at kind of joining an existing community to build that user base starting off with? For example, like, I'm a member of Marathon Maniacs and Half Fanatics, and, if I want to know where to go run in Boston, I just go ask on the Facebook group, which are 10 or 20,000 people there. Have you investigated joining an existing community to build your traction?
Yes. So my co-founder, Danielle, she's got a popular blog called The T-Rex Runner, and she is a Marathon Maniac. And she's, I think, done, right? You do 50?
That's 50 states.
Okay, no, she's that too. She's both. So she's approached both of those, and it's gotten pretty political, I guess, with those particular groups. But when I put that last one, says partnerships, strategic partnerships, I think with, like, for instance, maybe, Fleet Feet here or different running groups where we could offer something of value to them because it's volunteer-based. So that's one thing you have to remember about all these communities. It's volunteer-based. So they don't have a budget, really, besides their membership fees. And if they do, they've already allocated to something that they feel is important. So supporting something like us, we'd have to create value for them. But I'm definitely, exploring that opportunity and figuring out which running groups. We actually had a running group out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, approach us and want to partner with us. So they're now a brand ambassador for Chattanooga. So that is something that I think should be, it is prioritized for us to partner with running groups and whatnot.
We got a question right here.
Okay, you said that you have the beta website, so I just tried to search it on my phone. I couldn't find it. So what's your keywords, and how do I find your website? Because I looked, typed in your name, couldn't find it.
Right, it's ramblen.co, not .com. And people actually, we get a lot of traffic, and a lot of our traffic is direct. So I also have an SEO background. So I did the Yelp mentality where it's like you're trying to optimize for Fleet Feet Tulsa because only Fleet Feet Tulsa and Yelp are optimizing for that. So you're going to find us that way. And I did that on purpose. And 50% of our traffic comes from organic. Yeah, so we do get, and in fact, Memorial Day, we had a huge spike, people looking for stuff to do in various cities. Our website is definitely beta. It's still got a beta sticker up there because it's got a lot of work to do. I'd love to do a lot of improvements to it. One of the things that you might find when you're searching is that it'll say, there's not a city. It doesn't find the city that you're looking for. And when it does that, it'll say, we don't have that city yet, but you can sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter is, we've got a ton of people that have signed up for that newsletter. I need to do a better job of utilizing that newsletter. But yeah, so people do find us.
Natalie, is there something you can do to reach people with an MVP that doesn't cost? I mean, all of these options that you said you explored seemed like the development cost was the big hurdle, even for the MVP. When you compare it to Airbnb, I remember a story of them posting on Craigslist and doing all these things that weren't scalable but did generate revenue and did prove out the model. Is there something you've done or something you could do that would prove out one of these paths you've taken without a huge development fee that would then prove to you and your team and somebody else that, hey, this is viable, this is worth spending $70,000 for an MVP on?
So that example about Craigslist and Airbnb because it was controversial. So they were actually, that was not, that's a black mark on their history. They don't really like to talk about it. Everybody else likes to talk about it. But they don't really like to talk about it because it was really cheating is what they did, is they rigged that system up. I don't want to do that, but there might be something else, that I could do to prove out the sharing model. I was going to partner with another company that does gear rentals. It's a sharing marketplace for gear rental. So if you went to Boulder, Colorado, and you wanted to rent a bike instead of from a bike shop, or if you wanted to get a pair of skis or snowshoes or whatever, this is a place where people can put their gear up for rent. So it's a gear sharing place. They found traction with actual rental shops themselves, oddly enough. So when ski shops that rent skis or whatnot run out of basically stuff, they go to this place and get their stuff. So that's who they're currently getting traction with. They kind of worked with us, and then they tried to implement their own brand ambassador program because that was the value that they were kind of getting out of our partnership. And I think that didn't go very well for them because it's a lot harder than it sounds. And I don't know where they currently are, so we kind of parted ways. Not bad, but it just didn't work out. So there might be someone else that has already the technology out there, the platform that is kind of still in the beginning stages that would like to partner with us. And I'm still searching for that. I haven't given up on that opportunity.
Okay, one last question before we ask you our community question.
Have you thought about looking for a sponsor, an athlete, a former athlete, somebody who's into fitness and health and personal training to sponsor you or to invest in your company to raise that needed capital?
I haven't yet because I still feel like I wouldn't feel good about, I really want to prove out the business model before I would approach someone saying, can you sponsor us or invest in us? I really don't feel confident that we've got a solid business model. And if anything, the I2E venture assessment program taught me how to do kind of customer interviews. So you may think you know who the customer is and who has the purchasing power, but once you really get into that customer development process and start asking the right questions, you can figure out in not too many interviews whether or not this is actually viable or enough. So the hotel one seemed really promising at first. I thought that was like our golden ticket. But then after talking to other people within the industry themselves and then the customers themselves, I realized this was going to take a lot of cash to burn to get to that first dollar.
Our final question is, what can we, 1 Million Cups, do for Ramblen?
Obviously spreading the word is helpful. We're still trying to figure out, what direction we're going in. I do think that there's something to the Ramblen workouts, which is not up there because that was very popular. And that one doesn't cost a huge investment. So, spread the word about that. Sign up for it. And I don't know. I'm always open. The community has been great to Ramblen in particular. We try to give back to the community as well, but I'm always open for suggestions and feedbacks, clearly.
Thank you so much. So we've got a couple of really quick announcements. If you aren't on our newsletter and you want to get it, email newsletter to tulsa@1millioncups.com. I'm going to breeze through these real quick so we don't waste too much time. We're looking for presenters. If you're interested, apply 1millioncups.com/Tulsa. There's an apply to present button. You can also create an account if you're just coming to 1 Million Cups a lot. You can create an account on there and get updates and information like that. I think it's going to be built out more in the future, but right now it's just kind of updates. 1millioncups.com/Tulsa. If you've already presented here and you're interested in going to another city, you're traveling and you want to just present your idea again, or you're interested in actually doing a concentrated effort, going out into the world and sharing and practicing your pitch, we can hook you up. We can send you to Fort Worth. We can send you to Arkansas. We can send you to Kansas City. We can send you to any of the 73 cities that have 1 Million Cups in them. So it's a really great opportunity, and if you've presented before, you have this opportunity. But you have to apply to present here first. If you need more space, the Forge has a couple of offices open. If you need more information, email Jessica Flint at Tulsa Chamber, or I think it's theforgetulsa.com. Don't quote me on that. And if you have an announcement, something about the community, an event you're putting on, send us an email, tulsa@1millioncups.com, and we'll throw it in this announcements and also in our newsletter so that everybody will know what's going on. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Matthew to introduce our next presenter.
All right, our next presenter is the founder of Andolini's Pizzeria, as well as STG Pizzeria and Gelaterio. I think I said that right. It's a complex word. They have multiple locations, one here in Tulsa on Cherry Street and out in Owasso, and they are expanding. So please welcome Mike Bosch. There's some delay.
There is some delay? All right. Yeah. All right. Good morning. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Got a thumbs up. That's good. Everyone else mumbled very well. Okay. Unimpressive or impressive. That's basically my mantra on life and my business. So a little bit about me. I'm going to blow through a lot of information real quick today. I grew up in California, also New York, New Jersey. I could go into that, but I'm not going to. I come from a family of Marines. I was in OCS. I am not still a Marine because I have type 1 diabetes. Because I have type 1 diabetes and couldn't do the Marine Corps anymore, you now have Andolini. So yay for disease. I started Andolini's at the age of 22 in 2005. That makes me 33 by that math. Everyone starts with one site, but as of today, I'm Andolini's Owasso Tulsa food truck, Broken Arrow. And if you have not been there, We have started STG, Gelateria, and Pizzeria. Raise your hands if you have been to the Gelateria and at STG. If you haven't, it is the end-all, be-all of a Napolitana Italian experience. It is exactly what pizza is in Naples. There's no deviation. I kind of got annoyed when people would say, oh, it's, this is authentic Italian we're selling. And I was like, no, it's not. Because Andolini's isn't fully Italian. It's a mix of New York. It's a mix of Italy. It's a spin on different things. I can do whatever I want with Andolini's. That's what I love about it. It's unique takes on Italian classics. So when we wanted to do exactly what you would get in Italy, whenever I've gone to Naples and had all these types of really interesting experiences, I'm like, let's just bring that back. And with all my connections now, after being in the industry for 10 years, we got the same oven, the same flour, the same ingredients, and I've been taught by those guys how to do it the exact way the Italians do. So that's what you get when you go there. I learned that because I've been in the World Pizza Champions, a team of Americans that compete internationally since 2008. I met some of the best guys in the world that brought me on their team. They thought I was doing something interesting when I was around 26, and that's why we've gotten so much better at what we do. Biggest thing I've learned as a pizzeria and restaurant operator is that there is no room for ego in this industry. None at all. If you think I have an ego, I swear I don't. And people that tend to look like they have egos probably don't. They just act boastful. Ego kills you, especially in the restaurant industry. Every single day, all I ask myself is, what can we do to make this restaurant better? Now, when I met Ben at a Yelp event and said he'd like to have me speak. So I'm going to talk about the things that I know about and see where it can go from there. So this is my speech about what we do at Andolini's and STG, and then I'm going to talk about my intentions. My intention is to have a goal. Every day I have a goal. My goal is to make my business better. When you think about your intentions, are your intentions to make your business better or to attempt to make your business better? And there's a big differentiator. I talk to my staff about this every day. No one ever intends for things to fail. If you did, you'd be a jerk. But do you intend for things not to fail? Because in the restaurant industry, when you're working with kids, when so many things can go wrong, you have to make systems that make sure things don't fail if you want to have things operate successfully. My intention for today is to inform you, Tulsa elites, about my business, to provide insight on how we got to where we are, and to find out what we can do better. So that's what I'm going to do today. The first part is to tell you about my business and also provide insight to you on how I got to where I am today. How we got to where we are today is through food, service, and ambiance. Food, any business, whether you sell food or you don't, you have an item of some sort. Whether it's yourself that you sell, whether it's your website, you sell an item. So for us, it's food. For us, it has to be perfect, unique, and at the right price. Big thing. Tulsa is aggressive. If you don't have all your stuff in check, you will die as a business. Because if you're really expensive in some cities, people just go to you because you're expensive. If you're dirt cheap, some people will go to you. Here you got to be really great at a great price with amazing service, or you're going to die a slow, painful death. Actually, it's more going to be like a fast, painful death in Tulsa. Service needs to be enjoyable, knowledgeable, and fast. And then ambiance. Clean, interesting, and comfortable. It needs to make you feel good. Just like Apple has done very well with that. Apple's very trendy, but you go in there and you're like, oh, I'm buying something that I'm in on. I know about this. Even though it's the biggest company in the world right now, people feel like they're in on something. When you come to Andolini's, you need to feel like you're in on something. Now, that doesn't mean trendy. I like that our Tulsa location looks like a 1920s bar, because I find New York bars to be the most comfortable locations in the world. Public bars, not seedy bars, but like, hey, let's all get together and be in this comfortable environment. And it's also classic. Most restaurants have to change their look every 4 years. I don't want to do that. So I made a thing that's going to stay looking good for the rest of the time. So it was more out of cheapness that I did that, but also because I like to feel comfortable. Here's my story on my biggest epiphany. I had at 22 that I opened Andolini's. At 24, I saw the light about frozen ravioli. When we first opened, you open a restaurant, people are like, oh, buy this. You have food service operators, oh, buy this thing, it'll serve you great. You're going to do a great job when you buy this frozen ravioli. So we bought this little mini green frozen spinach artichoke ravioli. People in Tulsa love spinach artichoke anything. Didn't know that. But anyway, so I saw this ravioli. I'm like, great food cost. Service could sell it super easy. Good to go. Then I go to a food show, and even though no one in Tulsa has it, the people that sell that product were at the food show, and a lot of people I see from Tulsa and surrounding areas, Arkansas, Oklahoma City, they're all just sampling this ravioli. And I was like, oh, crap. Anyone could just up and buy this thing and go down the street and sell it. Burger King can't just sell the McNugget. They could sell their version, but they can't just sell it. These people could buy my McNugget and sell my McNugget. That's not good. I can't live with that, or else I am going to die eventually. It's perfect if I'm just in a Owasso and I'm like this guy on the corner, but I've never wanted to just be the guy in the corner. I've wanted to have a bigger business. So I had to have unique things. So at that moment, I sold the freezer, got rid of this very popular ingredient, and said, we are making everything from scratch as much as possible and doing everything we can to differentiate ourselves in the market, or else we will not survive. So as a result, I had angry customers, and that is perfectly fine because those customers still stayed with me as long as I have the USP. The USP, the unique selling point. You might have heard this phrase before. You might not have heard this phrase before. Irrelevant. A unique selling point. Here's my take on unique selling points. You do not need a parachute to skydive. You do not. People would say, you need a parachute to skydive. I say you don't. You do need a parachute to skydive twice. Here's the thing about unique selling points. You do not need to be unique today. You don't. You could perfectly survive today. You will live through today, but you will not survive tomorrow without a unique selling point. So if you want to have a business that stays for a while, if you're new to whatever you're doing and you're like just doing what everyone else is doing and I'm getting along fine, you're not going to survive in that business. Whatever it is, if it's not unique, you're going to die. So for us, a lot of people have their unique selling points. After around 5 years in the industry, I said, having a unique selling point isn't enough. They have to have great unique selling points, multiple. So I'm going to blow through a lot of this right now. What's my unique selling point? Fancy ketchup is not a unique selling point. Some of ours, no freezer, no microwave, sliced daily in-house, all the things that we make. That's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. You can read quickly right now. Try and test yourself how fast you can read on a Wednesday morning. Dough, sausage, cheese. We could do that. Mentality got us to where we are. We make everything, we do everything, and we teach everything. And that way we get stuff done because we want to be original. Here's an original, Walking Dead, unoriginal, Revolution. We don't want to be the cheap copy. We don't ever want to be, we want to be like Abercrombie, not the cheap copy. We want to be like Top Gun, not the cheap copy. We want to be like Baywatch, not Acapulco Heat. And we want to be like the Pump, not the LA Regulator. We want to be like 48 Hours, not like Hollywood Homicide. And we definitely never, ever, ever want to be like Lou Diamond Phillips. I can't stress that enough. Never, ever be like Lou Diamond Phillips. Everything in life predicated that can go wrong in this life is predicated upon Lou Diamond Phillips. So today, I have a massive screen above me. I've never had one of these before. What can I do with this massive opportunity? I look at opportunities every day. What opportunity do I have right in front of me right now? What can I do with this? And here's mine. I see a massive screen above me. It reminds me of something that I've seen many times in my life, the Orson Welles classic, Citizen Kane. Now, what can I do with that? I don't know what I could do with a Citizen Kane reference right now, but I figure I'll take the opportunity. Let's get in on this. Let's get a photo. So if I need a profile photo based on Citizen Kane at some point, now I have that. See? Thank you very much, Kelly. There we go. A lot of people would say, why are you ever going to need an Orson Welles reference profile background? I don't know, but if I do need it, now I have one. Okay, my next point. Don't be afraid to look dumb or foolish, because if you put yourself out there, you're always going to be out there. Entrepreneurs put themselves out there. Now, when we walk out on the street, everyone's out there. No, they're not. They're in there. If you're an entrepreneur, you put yourself out there. And by putting yourself out there, you could be open to the public and get somewhere. Caring and apathy are both deeply contagious. So if you're not caring, people don't care with you. If you do care, people do. Be genuine, have drive. And that will lead me to my last point, which is impressive or unimpressive, what I started off with. If we're ever not impressive, then by default, we're unimpressive. You showed up on time for work, great, unimpressive. If you're killing it, you're impressive. You went to a restaurant, I'm sure, in the last month, and you're not going back there. Why? Because it was unimpressive. You got your drinks on time, server was perfectly nice, the food was fine. You're not going back there because it was unimpressive. And as long as we stay impressive, I believe we'll be fine. So today's problems, what I need help with is as I'm growing, hiring systems, I need to streamline these systems. That's a big issue for me. And also I need to keep myself blue collar as I deal with white collar problems. As I grow, I want to keep it street. So that's my big thing. Monitoring a corporation, and as I'm not a mom and pop anymore, how do I keep it very much heart and soul? That's a problem. It's a problem when you have 6 restaurants to have everyone still know your name. That's something I deal with on a constant basis, and streamlining my systems. What can you guys do for me today? Never ever buy something local because it's local. I hate that. When someone's like, oh, I want to support you because it's local. I want to support local. You guys are a local restaurant. I want to support your local restaurant. I don't care. If I'm never not better than a chain restaurant pizzeria, let me die. Just let me die. Because I deserve a slow death. come to me because I'm the best. Come to anyone because they're the best. Anyone that's pushing the artistry of their product, give them your cash. Maybe they're learning, maybe they take a little bit longer. That's cool. Help out a new restaurant, but give them your cash. Give someone who's trying something different, not just run-of-the-mill burger restaurant. Go and try something out there. And praise openly. If they do kill it, go on Yelp. Have a Yelp account. Have a TripAdvisor account. Have an Urban Spoon. Don't just tell me that does nothing for me. Tell everyone else. And if I do a crappy job, scold privately. Email me. Say, this sucked on this day with this server. Not, hey, I went to your restaurant and it sucked. Okay, which restaurant, what day, what time, let me fix it. Because if I am worth my weight in salt, I will fix it. So that's what I would like to lean with. Also, if you do want to help me, cater with me, I have Kelly here who will be available after the show to answer all your questions and all your catering needs. At catering@andopizza.com, if you don't want to talk to Kelly today, we can hook you up with anything that you need. I am also at mike@andopizza.com if you ever want to email me for anything at any point in time. And I hope that was the fastest pounded through 1 million cups talk of all time. I thank you.
All right. Great job. Okay, I got the first question right back here, so keep that mic handy there, Mike.
Have you tried making a vegan pizza?
We have many vegan pizzas. We have our Genko vegan pizza, which has no cheese on it. I do not like vegan cheese. I've tried it. It does not work. It just doesn't. So if someone wants to bring in a vegan cheese and put it on the pizza, then if it sucks, it's on you. But the Genko vegan pizza that we have at both of our stores with roasted vegetables on it is completely vegan. San Marzano tomatoes, nothing else added. We also have gluten-free. We're the only gluten-free pizza in Oklahoma that we actually make from scratch. Everyone else buys gluten-free. We make our gluten-free.
All right, next questions?
Mel. Mike, you put on a very impressive presentation this morning. You probably said more in 6 minutes than anybody preceding you. My question is this. Have you ever thought about being a stand-up comic?
I did a little bit of that kind of stuff in college, but one thing, I have friends that have done stand-up comedy. You got to give your whole life to it, and I didn't want to do that. I've given my whole life. My children are Andolini's Owasso and Andolini's Tulsa. I will have children at some point, but for right now, you got to just give your life up to a business. If you really want to own a business, you see people on Shark Tank, they're like, well, I'm a doctor till 5 p.m., but then I really care about this business at night. It doesn't work that way. My whole first 4 years of this life and experience with this restaurant, if I wanted to work out, it was running as I gave door hangers. It's like, we're going to go work out today. Okay, well, let's go give door hangers. And then if you wanted to eat, you ate at your restaurant. You get up at 7, make dough. You don't have enough people that you want to pay at this rate of pay, and you have to look good to a bank to grow. So the first 4 years, absolutely live it. The first year, I did not take a day off. So to try and add anything else to it would just be foolish. Although I do public speaking engagements, I do restaurant consulting now. Now that we've been in the game for 10 years, I can kind of step back. I have a wife now, which is nice. I couldn't imagine that in the first 5 years. My wife Michelle's here today. She's a real estate agent, the most hardworking real estate agent in Tulsa. Michelle Bausch will take care of all your real estate needs. I say at low affordable prices, but it's basically free. So until you sell the house. So Michelle Bausch. All right. Next question.
Question right here.
Awesome presentation, by the way. It sounds like there are a lot of similarities between your company and ours in terms of we were founded 2005. We've got 3 locations now. I'm curious, how do you handle delegation? We're at the point now where we have a store manager at each location and trying to empower them to lead their teams. How do you handle the management structure of your company now that you've got 6 locations, sizable team of people? How do you do it? What lessons have you learned? All that.
I quickly touched on it there, and there's no magic bullet. I think this is the one thing. You want to just go, I want to use this management structure. You have to build one yourself. No one could do it for you, and you wish that they could, right? You have to have everything, though, is thinking I think this is where a lot of businesses get stuff wrong. What is the path of least resistance? Is it just plow through my work today so I can get home an hour early? Or is it invest in people so much so that tomorrow I don't need to worry about what they did? So it's a lot of investment in people, teaching them, and then holding them to the standard, which is easier said than done. If you do X, Y will happen. So building a fence for people, and I learned this, a lot of people are like, I can't work with all these idiots. The biggest thing I've seen, coming from a Marine Corps background and having a family of Marines, you could take some guys that really don't know a lot and get them to do really amazing things if they know what is expected of them. You do X, good things happen. You do Y, bad things happen. So it's about making a system and then inspecting the system. That's the biggest thing, is inspecting the system. Not going in and doing the work for them and saying, now do what I just did. That doesn't work at all. It's, okay, here's the system. Then watch them do it. That's a big thing that people don't have the patience to do. Watch them do it. Okay, now watch them do it tomorrow. Now they are trained. You are now trained. Good to go. Moving forward, I'm going to come back and watch that you've done this correctly every week. Managing by inspection instead of exception. That's a big thing in the restaurant industry. With inspection versus exception. Inspection means I'm going to check your work every day, as opposed to when something goes wrong, I'm going to be like, well, what the hell happened here? Inspection versus exception. It's the teacher that pop quizzed every day, so you always had to read The Great Gatsby. You're like, ugh. As opposed to the teacher that you could just wait till the end of the semester and be like, okay, I could pound through this. If you're the teacher that's giving the pop quiz every day, then they got to do the work.
We have a question in the back.
So when you were starting out, how did you find advice, mentors, people to help you, people who've gone before? Where did you go to get that information?
That's a great question. When I started out, I asked anyone. And that's a big thing about ego, is a lot of people don't. If you're asking questions, you're already ahead of the game. A lot of people are like, I have this figured out. I got this restaurant game on lock. You don't. To new guys and to me, I don't assume I know. I still ask questions. I called up anyone that I ever saw on Food Network. I was going to restaurants. I got people that hung up on me, people that lied to me, people that just yelled at me for asking them, like, I did the work, you figure it out, stuff like that. And then I called a guy who was on the Food Network named Tony Gemignani. If you type that into your phone, Tony Gemignani Pizza, it's hard to spell, but I'm sure it'll pull up, Pizza Tony Gemignani. This guy's on Food Network. He invented most dough throwing tricks. I saw that he was using the same type of oven that I was, which is a pretty rare oven called a Rotoflex. And he, totally no reason to do it, talked to me for an hour and a half on the phone. Now, he's one of my good friends till today. He's the one who's the head of the World Pizza Champions. He's the only guy from America ever to win in Naples a competition. But he talked to me and just said, oh, do this, do this. Oh, what are you doing? He's so in love with pizza that he likes to be around people who are as well. So it's about finding and asking and lottery tickets till you find someone, and then just, I'm a sponge. Whatever you need me to do, work under you for a week for free, great, I'll do it. Anything you can do to learn more for you. When you do something like that, you're just dedicated to the knowledge, you get the knowledge.
Okay, question right over here.
Yeah, what role does technology play both in your front of house and back of house, and where do you go to find out about technology that you could potentially use in your restaurants?
Another solid question. I am in love with technology. A lot of restaurants get locked in the past. I'm always struggling for the future, but I'm inundated right now. I'm inundated with, there's like, use this portal, use this, use this, use this. So some small things like we went to a scheduling system that's online, so that way our guys, if they want to trade a shift, it's very simple. You wouldn't think, if you're not in a restaurant, that doesn't seem like a big deal. It's a big deal because you get a he said, she said about all sorts of stuff. You need a defined process for everything. So we use a company called Hot Schedules. Well, they had a few other things with them, like a hiring portal. I used it. It didn't work. It was kind of crappy. So then I just got this one. When I said streamlining systems is a big thing for me, I'm working on this thing called Talent Reef right now. Talent Reef, big national corporation, lets you sign up, then we could then take the application, they do a whole questionnaire, we see how good they are, move them into the restaurant, and then do online training in store, so that way I know the training in Owasso is the same as BA, is the same as Tulsa, and I'm not spinning my wheels curious about what's going on. So I have to streamline these operations. Everything I could do on my own, I have to build it as if I was dead. And that's the only way I could really achieve that is through technology.
I totally agree with that, by the way. That's why we trained in the Marines, so that's probably where it came from. I have a big question for you. I love everything that you're doing. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, are you going past Tulsa? Are you going to, because that's the biggest delegation is once you start to drop that seed in Kansas City or Dallas or something like that. Do you have other cities on the map? Is that the future, or is it command and control right here in Tulsa?
The issue, what we have on our map for the next year is lockdown Tulsa. We have STG, depending on how great it does. It's doing great now, but you need to judge it over the course of a few years. That's easier to duplicate than Andolini's. Andolini's is a big, it's such a big undertaking that it's hard to duplicate. And you got to have, one thing I've learned is that people that do this product, if you want to be at the top of the heap, you got to have passion for it. And that's easy when I'm around. If I'm not around, how do I keep people passionate about the product? That's a hard thing to do, because if I was just turn and burn pizza, I could just open them, really fast ones, and it doesn't matter because it's convenience driven, and they could all fight for the convenience driven market. And if someone sucks, whatever, it's convenience driven. When you want to be at the top of the heap, you have to kill it all day, every day. So it is a concern of mine. I would like to say I'd be in Oklahoma City next, but if you want to tell God a fantastic joke, tell him your plans. So I don't know where I'm going next. In the next 5 years, I'd like to be able to have Oklahoma City under our belt. I'd like to have people that I know are direct copies of me overseeing it, and we kind of have that now, but I still need to know 100%. They have to be full-on disciples, not really good employees, and there's a massive difference.
Okay, question right here.
Great presentation. I'm impressed. Great presentation. I'm impressed. Very much impressed. I've never heard of Andolini's.
Well, that's a problem.
It really is, seriously. And I live here in Tulsa and never heard of it. First time ever hearing about it. I'll take you up on that.
We are located on Cherry Street, right down, you go on Boston, go up Cincinnati to Cherry Street. We're a brick building. We made it look like it's been there for the last 100 years. We actually built it ourselves. Either you really love us, you don't, or you don't know who we are. You fall into the don't know who we are.
So how are you going to reach people like me?
I'm always baffled by people like you, in all fairness, because I'm like, I'll have people that we drove here from Kentucky because we heard that you guys got the best. I'm like, well, thank you. And then I'll go into Walmart across the street in Owasso, and I'm like, where are you guys at? I'm like, right, you can see us. But the problem, I mean, we're number one. We got voted number one pizza by Tulsa World, number one pizza on TripAdvisor, number one pizza by Tulsa Voice, number one pizza by our A-list. And that wasn't always the case. We had another pizzeria, which will remain unnamed, who had always won these things, and we started winning in the last 2 years. And so on all social media, if you look up anything on the internet, I would hope that we come up on number one for Tulsa and pizza. So if you love pizza and you live in Tulsa, you should know about us, theoretically. Now, as far as getting out there and having a TV commercial, I haven't done that yet. I'm on radio. We don't spend a lot of money on marketing. And that's an interesting point for especially new restaurants and new companies. I always like to have all my marketing come across unsolicited. I will never, ever, ever have this hour brought to you by Andolini's, because how is an hour ever brought to you by anything? It's worthless. I like the guy who's the newscaster to say, oh my God, and I'm having Andolini's pizza right now, and it's fantastic. I get so much further when I just give pizza to DJs than I do when I pay thousands of dollars to have a sponsorship. So I'm all about getting people to try the pizza, and I was going to give you pizza for free. He'll pay for it. That's a win for me. But whichever way, please go down the street. And also, if you haven't gone to STG, go there. And here's my absolute 100% guarantee. If you go to one of my restaurants and it isn't impressive, if you don't leave there loving what you had, I will pay for it. If you love one part of it, but you didn't love the app or you didn't love the dessert, tell me. You will not pay for that. I am not mad at you. You spend your hard-earned money with me. I want it to be an experience. If it's anything less than stellar, I don't want you to pay for it. Because if you did pay for it and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, I know you're not coming back to me. And I do not live in a business where I can live off you if you come to me once, ever. I need to know that you're coming back. So it's a win-win for me.
Okay, where is STG?
STG Pizzeria Gelateria is located right down the street and on Detroit, across from Yokozuna and Dwelling Spaces. So it's a one-way street, but Detroit... Everyone know where Yokozuna Dwelling Spaces is? Right near the PAC. We have gelato. If you've never had gelato, it has less calories, less fat. It's twice as dense. It's made in a slow churn process. It's amazing. I know one to compare ice cream and gelato is like Oasis to the Beatles. You figure out which one's which. Okay.
Question right here.
Hey, I'm Ian with Lamar Outdoor Advertising. I swear Albert and I did not plan this, but I was also going to ask you about advertising, and I've actually had STG pizza. Wonderful. I was very impressed, and I loved it. I've had Andolini's several times too. One thing I noticed, though, Andolini's is always packed. STG was not, and I'm wondering, obviously you know about marketing. You've done an excellent job at marketing Andolini's. I'm wondering how you're going to get STG out there. Are you promoting it at Andolini's? And do you know your cost of customer acquisition maybe inorganically, maybe if you were in a Dallas market where you weren't winning best pizza, if you're expanding and you've got a place that doesn't have your back like Tulsa does? Do you know what your customer acquisition costs are?
I truly don't, because there's so many factors that play into that it's hard to nail it down. Like, why are they here? What did they come from? And you could try and do a questionnaire, but then it's only the people that fill out the questionnaire. So it's very, very hard to have a strong customer acquisition. Know this, when I did Andolini's Tulsa, we didn't mean for it to be packed. I mean, we did, but we didn't want it to look like a velvet rope mentality where it's, oh, you can get in, but you have to wait 2 hours. We didn't want that. We're happy that we have business. We wish it would just extend later and earlier. We only had so many seats. Again, we're a fledgling business from Owasso who got a small spot, built it ourselves. Instead of a $2.5 million build out, we did it for $500K by building it ourselves with our construction backgrounds. And between my business partner, his dad, like, this is as DIY as it gets. So we built it. There's no office at either store, too, because office requires space, and we need asses and seats, which that would not have. So there's no back door at either store either. Like, there's so many regular restaurant things that we don't have because we're like, just get open, just try and just don't die. Now, in fairness to STG, it is menu board. You get your food. It cooks in 90 seconds. It's cooking at 950 degrees. So they sit down. They're done significantly faster. We don't have a server, so you're not waiting for that. I did this because I like going to places like Chipotle where I can go in, get my food, and get gone. I don't have time for it. So I said, let's make a restaurant where there's no waiting. Just get an amazing meal and be out quick. Because everyone else is having you sit down forever. And that's great. Sometimes I want to sit, but most of the time I don't. So let's have that. So people are going in and out, and we don't have a long line, and we don't have a lot of people in there because it's a much quicker transaction. And Andolini's people are like, I got a seat. All right. It's like getting a parking spot near Times Square. It's like, I'm just going to stay here forever. I might have to go somewhere, but I'm not gonna, So that's the thing. We have people that just camp. People don't camp at STG, which is why, because we have sometimes as many people practically going through there in an hour, but it just goes in, it goes out, and the gelato customers as well. So it's a little bit varied, but I agree we could cross-promote better, but we also didn't want people going to STG to be like, hold on, I wanted a slice of pizza. Because you're not going to get that there. That's why I called it a completely different name. STG means Specialty and Tradition Guaranteed, or Specialate Tradizionale Garantita, saying this is exactly what you would get if you were in Naples. Not kind of, not akin, but the same oven, the same process, the same ingredients, guaranteed.
Okay, one more question, and then we'll ask our community question.
Phenomenal presentation. And pizza's pretty good too. Not pretty good. It's phenomenal. I'm not going to go there.
It's all right.
But no, I do a lot of networking events where I'm looking for places to, for us to go, like maybe do a happy hour or get together, bringing business owners together, good marketing places where you can network. Which of those places, which of your restaurants are going to be the best place for me to take a group of people?
Well, it's an interesting question as well because our Owasso location is very open because families tend to eat from 6 to 8. So after that or before that, we're much open. Cherry Street's in the heart of just the most densely packed area. Now we can still do it because it's such a great location and it's very open and it's not an open space at all. It kind of sucks because you're just, you feel like you're in a packed club the whole time. People walking past you, which some people like. That gives the ambiance, which is a big factor, of feeling like you're somewhere that matters. So when there's a lot of people close in with each other, some people, they get claustrophobic, but it does appeal to that. So for if you want people really densely in a close area, and that's a good location relative to everyone else, Cherry Street, again, from the hours of 2 to 4, because that's all we can handle, would be applicable to that. I'd say STG, we could close that off for private events easier and say, this is it, and let's make whatever pizza you guys want, and it's more intimate of an environment. I think STG would be more akin to that. You can email me, or Kelly has all the info on that in the back, and we'd love to get an event going for you. And again, here's a big problem that we have in going to that question. We are perceived, I'm kind of preeminently asking the question, but there you go. Here's a problem that I deal with very, very much, very often. We are perceived as expensive. We are actually, per square inch, the cheapest pizza in Tulsa. How is that possible, Mike Bausch? I'll answer you, Tulsa, with a very high voice. All right, here's the thing. Pizza is based on square inches. So most pizzas that you eat are 10, 12, and 14 inches. Our pizza, smallest size, starts at 14 inches. So your run-of-the-mill, think of the high-end places that you go to that charge around $20, $22, while our largest pizza is $28. They must be super expensive. We have a 20-inch pizza because when I grew up in New York, you have big-ass pizza. That's what you do. But how many 10-inch pizzas fit into a 20-inch pizza? Ask yourself that mental question right now. And in your head, you're probably saying, it's probably 2, but I'm probably wrong. That's what you're probably thinking. Or you know a lot about circumference, and good for you for paying attention to geometry. But a 10-inch pizza is about that big. 20-inch pizza, that. So it's 4 10-inch pizzas. 4 10-inch pizzas. So if you went to Mazzio's and got a $9 10-inch pizza, you'd be like, that's a great value. Well, by that math, a 20-inch should be $36 for a cheese pizza. Ours is $20. It's the cheapest pizza in Tulsa. And I'm perceived because we do all these ingredients from scratch, because I do so many things absolutely from my heart and just put the quality out there, that there's a view that it's expensive. Now, I would love to charge $45 for a pizza, but you're not going to buy it for $45. But I challenge you to take 4 people out to a hamburger place and not break the $30 price point. But it's a mentality. The culture has not changed. In 1983, people were willing to spend $10 on a pizza. In 2015, people are not willing to spend more than $10 on a pizza. It hasn't changed at all. And that's a big fight that I deal with. So we make our money on apps and other things, but our pizza value is not that good. And fighting that you are some haughty-taughty restaurant, I make and put my heart out there. This is me. This is the best end-all pizza I can make. But at no point am I hope you enjoyed the demi-glaze and the whole sauce and the blah, 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 blah. We don't do that with our pizza. It is real American pizza made from the heart, and come and try whatever you like. You're welcome. It's not about being the best and talking down to people. We've never been pretentious. But that is the fight that we fight. People think that we're either too expensive or that we're that fancy pizza. And we are fancy, but fancifully for you.
All right. So besides that, is there anything else that we can do as a community for Andolini's or any of your locations?
Like I said in the speech, speak openly, scold privately, tell me what else I could do, give me your ideas. I'm open to them. Again, I don't have an ego. I know I do something well, but I don't take myself seriously. I know there's things we could do better. I know cross-promotion we could do better. I know that not every single one of my 150 employees is going to kill it every day. And there's things that we could do to do better. And by knowing that, I think we're in a good spot. But I kind of want to reverse the question. What do you guys think that you could do for me? Because I rack my brain with that question every day, and I'm at dust at this point. So what do you think we could do better, if anyone has a note of it?
All right. Well, we'll catch up with you afterwards. Okay. So if anybody has any suggestions, they can approach. There's in the back. I'm sorry. Was it Kelly in the back, or Mike up here? So I just want to say thank you very much. So if we can, that was a great presentation. And as far as your impressiveness, I've been impressed every time I've ever gone to the Tulsa one. I've never been to any of the other locations, but impressed every time. And I now have people that when they come to town, I can't take them anywhere else except Andolini's Pizza. And it's like, you come into Tulsa and you just want a pizza? Yeah, we want Andolini's Pizza. So, just beware. If you take out-of-towners there, you'll never go anywhere else when they come to town. So, as a closing here, we're here every week at 9 a.m. So this is our new location. And what do you think of the new location? Well, I have a door prize, and I'm going to kind of, I'm going to set it up because I want to thank TCC. So if you're a first-time visitor and you work at TCC, raise your hand. I got a mug for you. Okay, all right. Very good. Okay, well, we'll see you all back here, 9 a.m. next Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, he was awesome. No, I was like, I'm actually learning something.
He crushed it like tomato sauce.
I am actually learning something.
Into their show that they're doing. Ben? This is Andy. Andy.
We've met.
No,
Such a pleasure.
He's the gentleman who's graciously volunteered to help us explore either recording or video editing so we can get this in mass.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
So, it's not sake I wanted to hand them off. Is that okay?
Love it. Love it. What do we need to do? What do you think the next step is?
What